Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the free response question review. In today's episode, we will be discussing the 2020 AP Calculus BC exam, question style number 2 from the uploaded CollegeBoard video. In this question, you will receive 15 minutes to work and 5 minutes to upload, so please make sure we are aware of our time. The question reads, the function f is twice differentiable with selected values given in the table above. So it's a typical table kind of problem with a BC twist. And so from here, if I'm going to do A, if they want me to find g prime of 3, I'll go and do A up here actually. Before finding g prime of 3, I should probably find g prime of x first. And there's really no way around it. I've got to use quotient rule. So that's going to be low d high minus high d low, and then square the bottom, and away we go. I think that this should be a relatively straightforward question by now, since we're all in BC. If I find the derivative anywhere, I'm going to find the derivative at 3, so that's f of 3, times, I'm going to speed some stuff up here, so I'm going to call that 6 minus 3 squared is 9 times f prime of 3, and again, I'll find out what those are in just a second. F of 3 squared. So looking back at the table, I feel like we could probably figure out what each of those values is going to end up becoming. And again, you can go ahead and not simplify anything if you don't want to. 4 times 6 minus 9 times negative 2 over 4 squared. And if you want to just leave it like that, go ahead. In fact, just to simulate the time, I will probably go and leave it like that. Hopefully no one's going to jump me for not simplifying the answer. Part B. Use a left Riemann sum with 3 subintervals to approximate the average value of the f of x over the interval 1 to 9. Most important word here is the word average. 1 over b minus a, so 1 over 9 minus 1 times the integral from 1 to 9 of f of x dx. Well, what is that going to be? Well, I'm going to go and draw out the graph, just because I like drawing graphs when it comes to Riemann sums, but some of you might find that slow. I understand. Go ahead and speed past me if you think I'm moving too slow. This is a 6, this is a 4, this is a 5, and again, I'm just taking these off the table, and I know I'm not looking right now, but that's because I have them in my notes right here. So, so it's a left Riemann sum, so I'll go ahead and collect all of my heights from the left sides of each rectangle. And so what I get is I end up getting, my first base is 2, my height at that moment in time is 6, my next base is 5, my height is 4, and then my next base is 1 with a height of 5. And again, that's the Riemann sum, but I want to multiply him by 1/8 so I can get my average value going. And I think I would leave it right there. I wouldn't even bother simplifying it. It doesn't get you anywhere else. It doesn't get you any extra points. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to part C. Part C, it says we have to evaluate the integral from 8 to 3. The integral from 8 to 3. Whoops. 8 down there, 3 here, sorry, from 3 to 8, I mean, of x times f double prime of x dx. When you see two functions that have no relationship to each other and they are being multiplied, you need to think integration by parts, u and du. X is u, du is 1. I'm hoping you guys are comfortable with this already. F double prime of x is dv, and whoops, not d again, but rather v, is going to be f prime of x. So when I punch that into the integration by parts, it's u times v minus the integral, again from 3 to 8, of v, so f prime of x, du is 1 dx. I apologize for forgetting the dx. And then that's going to be x times f prime of x minus f of x on 3 to 8. Now it's just a matter of plugging stuff in, so I'll go ahead and do that over here. So it looks like I'm going to get 8 times 3 minus 5 minus 3 times negative 2 minus 4. And again, that just happened when I plugged in all of my values. So remember, x becomes 8. This is really f of 8, or f prime of 8, minus f of 8 minus, and then it'll be 3 times f prime of 3 minus f of 3. And that's where all of those values came from. All right, so that about locks it in for part C. I'm going to clean up the board a little bit, and we'll move on to part D. And we are back with part D. We're letting h of x equal the integral from 1 to x squared of f of t dt. They want us to find h prime of x and h double prime of x. So let's go ahead and do that. So h prime of x is going to be the second fundamental theorem with a little bit of a twist. F of x squared times 2x for chain rule. And then h double prime of x is going to be a little bit of product rule in my life and a little bit of chain rule by my side. So that's going to be first unchanged times the derivative of the second plus second unchanged. So that's going to be 2x times the derivative of the first. So f prime of x squared times 2x. I'll go ahead and simplify the second derivative just to make them a little cleaner. So 2f of x squared plus 4x squared f prime of x squared. Whoops. Squared. Okay, so let's find out what the next part of the question is. It says, explain why h could not have a relative extrema or a point of inflection at x equals 3. So let's find out. Well, what is h? I'm going to go and change colors for this, actually. Change over to lavender here. What is h prime of 3? Well, if I'm going to have a relative extrema, that means that this thing better equal 0. And I'm hoping it does not. Well, it says explain why it doesn't, so I'm pretty sure it's not going to equal 0. So that's going to be f of 3 squared, which is 9, times 6. Well, what is f of 9? What is f of 9? F of 9 is 2. So this here is 2 times 6, which does not equal 0. So then you can conclude then, that therefore h will not have a relative extremum at x equals 3. Because your slope did not equal 0 there. We're going to do the exact same thing for the point of inflection. So remember, I'm going to go ahead and find out what h double prime of 3 is. Let me change colors here. I'll change over to sky blue. So h double prime of 3 is going to be 2 times f of 9 plus 4 times 3 squared, so 4 times 9. And then times f prime of 9. Well, again, what is f of 9 again? Well, that's going to be 2, so that's going to be 4 plus 36 times. Well, what is f prime of 9? F prime of 9 is negative 1. And then, again, that does not equal 0. Remember, for points of inflection to happen, your second derivative needs to equal 0. And so now you can say, therefore, h will not have a point of inflection at x equals 3 as well. Equals 3. Okay, go and hit the pause button if you need to. Otherwise, I'm going to clean up the board and move on to part E. Okay, part E. Easily one of the more confusing questions in this FRQ right here, but it says let f of a equal a summation from n equals 0 to infinity of a times r to the n, where a and r are constants. We have to find the value of r when a equals 8. So at the end of the day, our answer is going to be r equals something. So when a equals 8, that really means I've got f of 8 equaling the summation from n equals 0 to infinity of 8 times r to the n. Now I'm going to clean him up a little bit. This constant, I'm going to kick him on the outside of the summation here, so r to the n. And then I'm going to go ahead and just expand this thing here. So what is r to the n? What is the summation from n equals 0 to infinity? Well, that's going to be, when n equals 0, you get 1, and then you get plus r squared plus r cubed plus dot dot dot. At this point, this series should look pretty familiar. The function that this represents is this is 1 over 1 minus r. It's a power series, right? But don't forget, this 8 was being multiplied by him the whole time. So this is 8 over 1 minus r. And it will converge as long as r is, the absolute value of r is less than 1. Well, how does that help me solve for r? Well, remember, all of this stuff from the beginning was always equal to f of 8. And what is f of 8? Well, I believe the table actually does tell me what that is. It's 5. So 5 is equal to 8 over 1 minus r. So I end up with 5 times 1 minus r equals 8. 1 minus r equals 8/5. If I move some junk around, I will get 1 minus 8/5 is equal to r. And I believe that will wrap it up for this FRQ pretty fast. Let's see how we're doing on time here. We did it in just under 11 minutes. So even with a bunch of explanation, I'm hoping this one was doable for you. If you have any questions, please always leave them in the comments section, and I will see you in the next episode.